I'm just getting my camera set up. Yep. Okay, need to adjust. That's pretty good. Hey everyone, this is Sandy McManus with needsaribbon.com. And if you are just joining me, I do a live at 5, a Facebook live video twice a week, Mondays and Wednesdays at 5 o'clock Central Time. It's just what I've been doing for, oh my goodness, I think I started in September. So I've been doing this quite a while. And I usually bring you, it's my camera that's crooked. Look at that. Yep, I think that was it. Or I'm crooked today. It's Monday. I could be me. Anyway, so I do this live at 5 every Monday Central Time, Mondays and Wednesdays, and I show you either products, product suites, tips, just even card samples. It could be a variety of things, but this is, hey, hi. But this is what I've been doing for a while, and today I am showing you some basics. I've been this summer going back to some basics. It just seems like the thing to do in the summer because people's schedule is busy, and I don't know, I just think it's worth sharing here. So what I want to share today is the A4, which is the standard 5.5 by 4.25 card. It's called an A4 handmade greeting card. Some basic layering, basic layers, mats, whatever you want to call them, with the 1/4 inch or it's an 1/8 inch border all around each layer. I have come up with this nifty chart to kind of break it down. And I will pause that in case anyone wants to pause and write it down. It will be on my website, maybe even tonight. It will be on my website soon as a downloadable sheet too. And I also have this nifty visual that I put together to show you the different layers. So this is the card. Here's the first layer at 5.25 by 4. The next layer at 5 by 3 3/4. The next layer smaller. And these are all, they're 1/4 inch smaller, but when you layer them, I don't have that shown right now, but when you layer them up, it makes an 1/8 inch border all the way around. So where am I at? 4 3/4 by 3.5. That's this one. That's actually Sahara Sand. I had fun pulling these colors together. I tried to come up with the best way to do it, and I went neutrals. Just neutrals. So we're at 4.5 by 3 3/4, and this is actually our new, nope, that's Smoky Slate. And then we're at 4 1/4 by 3. This is actually our new gray granite, I believe. Yep, that's our gray granite. That is a new color to our catalog. Now I've messed up my beautiful little visual. So if you're just joining me, I'm showing some basics on card layering. Going old school, retro. Where was I? Okay, so now we're at 4 by 2 3/4, 3 3/4 by 2.5, 3.5 by 2 1/4, 3 1/4 by 2. You see it's starting to get kind of small, and 3 by 1 1/4, 1 3/4, and then 2 3/4 by 1.5. You can't really see it on there, but I did write it on there. And then the top, I mean, if you want to go really small, is 2.5 by 1 1/4, but that's just getting, I mean, you get the idea. So, with my beautiful presentation, so what can you do with this information? So this is great information. 13 years ago when I first started making cards, I would have given probably my left arm for a chart like this, and I wished I had put it together. I mean, over time, these measurements just kind of came natural to me. But sometimes it's nice to have a reference. And this is just standard layering. The same, you can adjust them if you're doing like square layers or whatever, but I'm just talking about layering from the base A4 card down. So there you go. So what can you do with these measurements? I came up with a few projects that I want to show you. called triple time stamping, which use these measurements. I actually use this chart to build this project. Let me show you. I'll show you. Actually, we'll just layer it correctly. Again, I've been just this is kind of an old school thing, but it's still, fingers don't want to work. I'm dealing with some major problems in my hands, so I can't grip real good. So this is the basics, and I started with, okay, what did I want my smallest piece to be? Phooey, I think that's 2 by 3 1/4. Am I correct? Yep. Okay, so I figured out, so to make these layers, what I did was I went to my chart. I actually used my chart, didn't go from memory, and I wanted my smallest piece to be 2 by 3 3/4, and then I just kind of worked my way out to my outer layer. So that was kind of handy, and then we'll come back to that. And then the next card I want to show you what we're going to do with. I went the opposite way. So I figured out what I wanted my biggest layer to be, which was 4 by 5 1/4, which is having an 1/8 inch border around. That's about as small as you can go and keep it on a standard card. And then so I started there and then worked my way smaller. So chart was actually very handy. Again, I know these measurements from memory, but it's still really good to just quick reference that. And for those that don't make cards a lot or aren't as familiar, I thought this might be a handy thing. So I'm going to put aside my cute little visual for a minute. And I wish I could read comments. I'll comment afterwards. I'm going to put aside my visual for a minute, and I'm going to show you triple time stamping, or at least how I do it. This is again not a new stamping thing. It's something I've never shown customers, though. We'll put this aside. And I'm going to start with the one where I started from what I wanted, the smallest layer, and go out. So assemble all your layers. You want a neutral cardstock that you can stamp on, and then you want a layer that's going to match your ink. So you can do this in 2 layers, 3 layers, 4 layers, 3 layers, 3 neutral stamped layers is the most common. I'm going to pull out my solid cardstock, and you're going to lay these out, and it helps also if you have some repositionable adhesive so these don't move, which I didn't grab, but as long as a cat doesn't jump up on the table, I should be okay. So you want to lay them out in your layers like that and hope that they don't move. And I'm going to use, no, I don't want to bump it. I'm going to be using Early Espresso and Crumb Cake ink on this. And I'm going to use the Dandelion Wishes stamp set. And I'm using this piece and this piece from it, these 2 stamps from it. And I'm going to stamp this one in Early Espresso and this one in Crumb Cake. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. I'm trying not to bump this. So I'm going to stamp my big focal point first in Early Espresso. I'm going to ink that up. Honestly, kind of surprised my ink pad isn't dried out. I haven't used espresso ink in a year or 2 maybe. I want that a little more inky in there. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside, and there's a reason I keep a paper towel handy. See, this is why you need like Dado adhesive or Hermafix or some kind of repositionable adhesive. You just tend to temporarily adhere them together. Okay. You want to take your stamp in my filthy block, and you're going to stamp your image. Now I'm nervous because I didn't practice this ahead and I haven't done this in a long time. Okay, we're going for it. Okay. And when I lift up, it's probably going to shift, but that's okay. And now I want to fill in. I'm going to set this aside very carefully. And if you're just joining me, I am showing stamping layers. Hey, I'm showing some stamping layers. And what you can do with how you learn layers. I'll come back to it after I've done this stamping. So I'm in crumb cake, and we'll just kind of fill in. Now I'm all nervous. Rawr. Okay. I need my little music, my do 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 while I stamp because I'm kind of nervous. Okay, we'll come in there like that. Okay, I'm gonna set this aside so I don't drop ink on anything. So, when you peel off the layers, you're gonna see gaps. And those gaps are okay. You know why? Because you're gonna fill in with your cardstock that you cut. And this is part of why you want a cardstock that's still drying. That will dry up a little bit later, but that's part of why you want a cardstock, at least one, you know, if you do multiple colors, in at least one of the colors, so it kind of visually bridges the gap. So why don't I go ahead and assemble this real quick. And I'm going to do these as flat layers. So we're just going to glue them down flat. I've seen where people bump them up with dimensionals. Ooh, that was a little nerve-wracking doing that live when I haven't practiced that technique in a very long time. And I'm going to show you one more with the using it a slightly different way. Okay. Yeah, see, I'm shaking now. Wow, I don't normally do that. So, if you were just... I see someone's commenting. If I have to guess... Yep. Nope, it's Brenda. Hey, Brenda. I was going to say it might be Beth, but... Whew. I'm sweating. Oh my gosh, I don't think I've done that technique in like 8 years, so that was a little risky to do that live on camera without a practice run. Don't recommend that. Okay, so we'll get these layers assembled, and I'm going to do one more, like I said, in a slightly different manner. But I want to, normally I don't finish my cards live, but I wanted to show you guys what the finished product looked like. So that's it, semi-finished. And here is my card base. And I'm going to tie a little of our burlap ribbon around it. Wow, I'm still shaking. Jeepers, that's just so not like me. Oh my gosh. Maybe it's because it's Monday. We'll go with that. Maybe I need a burger. How about that? We'll go with that too. Okay, so that makes a very fat knot. That's okay. Let's trim it. Trim it. Kind of went with the natural look there. And I'm going to glue that down. I kind of wish now I had dimensionals. Boom, boom, boom. You get a very central focused card doing this. Okay, while I'm here, I'll bring this back in so you guys can take a look at that. The card layers. And I'm going to put that aside. And I'm going to stamp a greeting. And I think I'm going to go with early espresso. Wow, that's popping up because of that fat ribbon on there. So I'm going to stamp a greeting from the Dandelion Wishes stamp set. And okay. And this I do want on with dimensionals, and I will pop it on later, but there you can kind of see. So that's one version where you have kind of a central image and work out from that. See, I'm still shaking. Wow. So unlike me. Okay, so that's one version, and then the other version is you basically make your own kind of triple layer designer series paper. And so I have my layers. Again, this is one that I worked out what I wanted my largest layer. So we'll pull out the cardstock, set that aside for a minute, and we'll fix our layers. And I hope you guys find this information useful. If you do, be sure and, like I said, I'll read comments later. This is why I need like some virtual assistant to help me when I do these, so I can read comments as I go. Virtual assistant. That would be me later, would be my virtual digital assistant. Okay, so I'm going to basically make my own triple layer designer series paper. That's essentially what the other way to do this is. That's the closest I can call it. So I'm going to stamp this. I'm using the Rooted in Nature stamp set for this, and only the part 2 of 2 of it. It's because it's a 2-part. It is a more expensive stamp set, but gosh, it's worth it. The greetings in here, I don't know. I'm just so in love with this set that I can't get over it. So I'm going to use this image. When I first saw this set, I thought it was a mushroom. Swear to God, still is. I know it's a tree ring, like the cut section of when you cut down a tree, but it still looks like a mushroom to me. Don't judge me. Okay, so I'm going to do that one in soft suede. Ink it up, and wow. Yeah. If it's just a little bit, it's not going to matter as much because you have your cardstock layers. And I'm only going to stamp this. See that gap? The cardstock covers that up. See? Live? Yeah, so I recommend a little repositionable tape, even a little glue dock, because nobody's going to see the back, and if you tear a little bit as you pull it apart, it's not going to matter a lot. Okay. And I'm only going to stamp this 3 times because this image is so doggone big. Honestly, for this, I recommend slightly smaller images, and it's the witching hour with my cat. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're gonna set that one aside. Okay, and I'm gonna bring in some pumpkin pie with this image. Ooh. Ooh. It was sticking before. Wow. Don't know why he suddenly slid off. Okay. So we're going to ink that up, and we're going to fill in with, I don't know, what do you call this? A Canadian maple leaf? I don't know, some kind of maple leaf, looks like. And the other thing is, remember the rule of thirds. So if you stamp this guy in 3, that's fine. Otherwise, you don't stamp in 4. That one didn't get stamped very good. stamp and odd numbers. Images and odd numbers. Okay. So we'll set that one aside. And then the last image I have is kind of an aspen leaf. I'm going to do that one in old olive. And okay. This I might only stamp 3 times because we're kind of running out of visual, well, we'll see. I think I want it on there twice more. Get the edges. Okay, that's it for the stamping. We'll put this aside. Way aside so I can't get inky fingers anymore. Okay, dry. And let's layer this bad boy up. So if you're just joining me, while I glue this, so you know, I think y'all get the basics of gluing or assembling. Let me bring back my visual. There you go, of the layering. Just some basic card layering. That's what I'm showing today, live at 5. And what you can do with knowing that knowledge of doing some kind of triple time stamping, which again I hadn't done in like 8 years. And you notice I take my stamped image and stamp it to the layer. That's how I'm assembling. I guess you wouldn't have to for this. It's just habits. Habits. Didn't I bring? Looking for supplies. But you see how that gap fills in then when you add your layer? Even though it isn't stamped real good, that's going to just fill right in. So again, you want to get a cardstock, solid cardstock in there that matches at least one of the colors of ink. Well, it can only match one color because cardstock is solid. That's brainiac information. Okay. So that's kind of pretty. Okay. And I thought I'd grabbed some ribbon. You know what? I'll add it later. I was going to add a little bit of linen, the linen thread. I'll have to add it later in some other manner. Okay, glue that down to our card base. And since we're into measurements today, that'd be the A4 size at 5.5 by 4 1/4. And that makes for a very heavy, fat card. That still could be mailed. The US rules are 1/4 inch. No more. Okay, so I need my sops wetted. So I already pre-stamped my greeting, and I've been roughing it up. Again, bringing back an old technique, kind of roughing up your edges with your scissor. Kind of dulls your scissors a little bit. So if you have an old scissors that's a little bit dull, best use for this. Also makes a little bit of a mess. Kind of rough it up. Rough it up. Make a mess. And I kind of want to get those edges a little bit, just a little bit inked up. Just a tiny, tiny bit. This is one way you can do it without a sponge. Just ever so slightly touch it squarely down. Okay. Again, I wanted a ribbon. We'll add something later. That's okay. It's kind of a busy card anyway. So, that's what I have for you today, is showing you some basic layers and what you can do with that information and how you can build some really cool cards. And just gonna wanna go over a little bit of business. So if you want to tune out now, I guess you can. It's a reminder that during July, when you buy 3 packs of Designer Series paper, and the list is here, it's the majority but not all of our $11 packs. Include some of the 6x6, what they call stacks. So buy 3 and you get 1 free. That's an $11 coupon, basically, an $11 value. It's a good thing. I've taken advantage of it and I need to take advantage of it some more. We have this pre-Christmas special that you can get. And my favorite special this season, because this is what made me join Stampin' Up! 13 years ago, was when they gave away a free set. At that time it was 12 ink pads. Now our ink families are 10. An entire 10-pack color family of your choice when you join Stampin' Up! For $99. And I've already had a couple people take advantage of this. Kudos to Missy and Jenny. I hope there'll be more. I think this is just, again, this is what caused me to join. In raw, if you were to buy these ink pads individually, that's $75. You can buy them as a group and it's $67.50 if you buy them all at once. But that's a lot that you're getting for free. Plus, you get $125 in merchandise that you get to choose, all for $99 plus whatever your local tax rate is. It just, you can't go wrong. I think it's just fantastic. So I thank you for tuning in today, Monday, July 23rd, for some basic card layering information, some just old school basics, and what you can do with that information too. Build some beautiful layered cards. I hope you found this helpful, and if you have, be sure and share it, like it. I thank you all for tuning in, and I will respond to comments in a little bit here. Thanks. Bye.